Welcome to Steve 87th, Puget Sound and Pacific Railroad.
Hi everyone, this is Steve 87th PSAP Railroad, or Puget Sound and Pacific. This is my channel, and I just wanted to invite you guys to come along and watch as I build my railroad, build up some kits, do some kit bashing, and running trains like the one behind me. So if this is what you guys like to watch, stick around for a while and see if you like the channel.
Building silos for my model railroad, Part 6, finishing the top house. Alrighty, so I've done a few more things. I was able to get the plastic that I needed for the top to make the roof sit in correctly. This was pretty flimsy, so I decided to put in a center brace. Makes that a little bit easy. Also decided to put some trim upon the walls on the corners, right? So that was just 1x6, you know what it equals, 1x6 plastic. In order to make the ends meet correctly, it was better for me to just lay in the small piece of plastic that went up on top, which makes kind of this ledge for the roof to sit on. The reason is because the side plastic was just a little bit too long, and for me to try to cut or sand all of that down, it was going to be impossible. So I decided that I would just make it a little bit taller. So I've gone and I have cut my side pieces for what will be the railings, or the bottom part of the railings for around the roof. You can see here, also on the doors, I put in some little roof sections, just as kind of a little water thing. They're just going to stay white the way that they are. I also went and got some railings. Now, I was looking at this, I thought about cutting out every other one to make it look a little bit easier, or to have it do a little bit easier. I'm not too sure. I also have to figure out how high that is. That might actually be too high, and I might have to wind up getting another type of railing anyway. This seems more like it's kind of a wrought iron fence. So we're going to take a measurement on that, see what that looks like. I'm going to go paint these. And then I'm going to paint the building. And then the other thing that you can see, I got the one side just hit black, and then I just came over and did a light gray color on the ventilation shaft. Now what I really like is when you hold them up like this, straight on, it gives you that dark look like it goes through on the other side. So if you can see real close, the bottom sides are still black, and then the rest of this is gray. So once it goes and fits into those windows against the green that is going to be the side of this, that should look really good and make it look like a vent. So, got to go ahead and paint some stuff now. These got to be painted, and then I have to check on my fencing. Well, actually, we can check that real quick. We can see that this is the door. Oh, let's see something. Here's the HO scale door. Yeah, that'll be good railing. So we'll make all of that railing flat black, along with some of the other railings that we have to do in black. The other thing that I did was I found a little motor that I'm going to use for the conveyor. It looks a little bit better than the one that we had. Mounted it on some beams, and then that'll be the outside motor. So that's kind of what we're doing now. I'll get this painted up along with, oh yes, I also trimmed out the side of the roof with, again, some of that 1x6 just to make it all nice and clean. So we're gonna go paint these things up, and then we'll start putting them back together. All right, now we have some of the major painting done. So we've got our orange and green, just like the construction site is. We got our roof kind of cleaned up. It's ready to go. Now we've got to put in our shutters. Work on our door, put that in. And then we also have to attach all the railings that are going to go around this, as well as attach railings to each one of those. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit more painting because I found something else that I needed to do. Okay, so one of the things that I noticed when I was doing this was that there is a outline around each one of those windows. However, when you put this in, you can see it looks pretty decent. It's got kind of a relief on it and all that. But then I was thinking, you know, when you have these shutters in there and all that, it should actually be a different color that's all the way around the outside of it. So we've got to get a gray color that will match this color. So one of the good things is, I know what type of gray that I use, but it's a spray paint, and it's going to be too difficult to make that into a spray paint. But of course, as thrifty modelers that we are, I have a couple of these apple barrel paints. One of them is a granite gray, and the other one is just a plain gray. And we're going to see how to match these two colors up. See which color is actually going to match the best, closest to the one that we've got. Now, one of the things that I wanted to show, why I'm going to be showing this portion of it, is a few months ago during Christmas time, my wife actually went out and got me, for a Christmas present, this black surface that you see here. One of the reasons why we have it, she's in the crafting, and this is actually one of her crafting surfaces. But one of the reasons why we got this is glass. And what's nice about glass, not a lot of stuff stick to it, including the glues and all that. So you can come back here with a razor blade and scrape all this off, which is nice. It's also good for cutting on, because it will easily, you know, it won't take as many scratches. There's a few in here, but they're not very deep. Whereas with those cutting boards, sometimes they do. The other nice thing is I don't mar up the surface from the cutting board, so I can always see my lines that are in here, and these are all set at inches, and there's actually millimeters around the outside as well. So you can do it either way. One of the nicest things that you can do is you can put paint directly on this. The reason is because this is all acrylic paint, it's easy to get off with water. And again, since this is glass, it makes it real simple. You don't need the whole palette and all that. You can just add it right here. So that gray you can see is a little bit too light as compared to that. So that's not going to mix the right way that I wanted to. This gray, wow, that's even a lot lighter, but it's also a little bit bluer. So that may not work well either. But the good thing is, when you need something darker, just add black, and it normally makes it darker. So we'll go ahead and mix these all up, see if I can't get something that will work. Again, this is just like doing your palettes at home. Oh, that looks like it's coming in there pretty good. Put a little bit more light in there because I made it a little bit too dark. That's pretty close. Maybe just a little bit lighter. Let's add a little bit more of the light back in there, just to lighten that up a little. That black really goes a long way. Again, if I could do this with the spray paints, it would be easier to do it with the spray paints, but I can't. So we're just going to do it that way. Now remember, the way that I did these shutters was as I painted them black first, because by making them black, it was all one easy shot, right? And then to make this, and I painted black in one direction to make sure that I got it underneath the shutters. And then in order to make it look like a shutter, I painted it from the other direction, gray, to make sure that the black still stayed there, so I didn't have to try to mask those off or anything like that. So then all we're gonna do, a little light paint. Get the outsides done. One thing that I did know, and I've learned this from a YouTube, I can't remember exactly where. Bad thing about acrylic paints is they do not like to stick to plastic. However, they like to stick to a primer. So one thing that I've learned is you better make sure that you have a primer layer down, or in this case, the primer paint that I have on here, to make sure that your acrylic paints will stick. Okay, so once we get this one little section done, okay, painted up all the windows. Now if we put that in there, just like that, you can see that that's going to look a lot more like a vent duct. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish off. This looks a lot more like a vent duct now, since it's got the venting around it. So I'm going to go ahead and finish off the rest of these, and then we'll tidy this up some more. Okay, so one of the other things that I wanted to do while I was here, and this might be a little bit too light. No, actually that should work. Just wanted to go where some of the paper was and just put a small amount of paint down. That was even too much. So maybe make these lines that are on top of the door just a little less scenic. That's one of the other nice things about this this type of material that they have for the paper that we made, is that it is yeah, what am I trying to say? You can paint it, which means you can also weather it too. So we just take this, kind of feather it out a little bit. So that you can't see it as much. So that kind of hides that one up, and we'll hide the other ones as well a little bit more. Nice thing though about the paper is it already does have the grid lines in it. If you want to do a little bit so that doesn't make it that much obvious, just go ahead and paint a little on some of the bricks here, clean them up a little bit. Again, it's a little bit nicer to have put the divisions where they are rather than in a main part of the wall or something like that. You want to try to get them wherever you can into the easiest part possible so that you can't see it. Yeah, that one I kind of messed the paper up a little bit. Let's put a little more paint down there. Cover that up some more. Okay. Let's see, I'm trying to remember, did I actually glue the doors in? Looks like I glued all the doors in. Yep, I did. I glued the doors in. Forgot about that. There's just some work that we were doing inside with the tape. Okay, so we've got those done. We've got those done. We've got this all done. Now it's a matter of fastening things together. Okay, so I'm going to go back so that I don't have to do as much sanding as I think I'd want to do. Although I will do a little bit here and there to get off some of the paint to have some sticky areas. But one of the things about the Aleene's is that it has the ability to stick to paint, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to use it. So first thing I'm going to do, we're going to go ahead and put these in, all the little vents. That's going to take a few minutes. The reason is I'm going to make sure I put them up in the right way. So again, since I'm using the glass, it makes it easy for me to just put a blob of this down. And the other thing is this is white, but it dries clear. So, so much like our school glue, our Elmer's glue that we use in a lot of different places. The good thing about this though is because it dries clear, and it's also a much stronger glue, and it has a little bit more working time. And since there's a lot of times I like to paint some of my areas beforehand, and then I don't have to come back with the plastic glue, because this is going to be plastic glued on. All the parts will be plastic glued on. It also sometimes saves you with taping. So again, this was something that I heard from Model Railroad Magazine videos on one of their shows. I forget which one it was. Again, we cut all of those to fit. And that's going to fit on there just like that. So now we've got something that looks like that. So I'm going to go ahead and put in all of those. So I'm going to put the door on, and then I will go ahead and proceed and put the roof on top as well. Okay, so we'll see what that looks like. All right, and there we have our house. Top section, door, roof, right? And that's going to sit up there just like that. All right, so now we're getting down to some of our final details on the model, which is to kind of cover up these areas here. And the way that we're going to do that, decided to make it real nice and easy. We're going to use which I've already pre-cut out. We're going to use this orange banner that goes all the way around. It'll be one down here and one up here, and then we'll put railing that goes all the way around it as well, and those will be glued on too. So we're going to go ahead and start that. I already pre-cut them and actually painted them. The only part that I have to paint now, that I'll have to paint afterwards, is some of the tops of the railing, and I also have to cut the railing to size and figure out where exactly I want to put up a ladder to go up here, and then there'll be another ladder that goes from here to here. Okay? Well, I was hoping to finish tonight on this series, but it looks like I have one more to go to, and that's going to be putting up all the safety rails. So you can kind of see in the background the top house is already on, so I finished all that. That's completed in this video. And so our next installment and our final installment, we will show you how we put the safety rails on, put the safety cages, and some ladders and so forth. So one more episode and the silos will be finished. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.